Live, First Alert 4 starts now.
Election night 2024.
People are speaking up, using their voice, using their rights.
First Alert 4 tracking results in tight races.
I owe it to the people I'm standing around to go out and work.
We should be able to decide how we build and protect our families.
Across the bi-state.
I just feel like there's a shift that needs to take place right now.
And the nation.
To every citizen across this land, I am asking for the honor of your vote.
Are we ready to vote? Are we ready to win?
Your vote determining who will represent you and the biggest issues.
I think it's really important to protect their right to bodily autonomy.
We are a pro-life state. We're going to stand up for our pro-life values.
This is First Alert 4 at 10.
Your home for election night coverage.
And this is First Alert 4 at 10 on this election night. The results are coming in live, and your First Alert team is tracking it all.
Really glad you joined us. We're watching races for you on both sides of the river, including those to represent us in Washington and controversial ballot questions. Tonight, over the next hour, we're going to have in-depth coverage of all of the major local candidates and issues. First Alert 4's crews have been monitoring results and getting reaction for you all night long, from the Missouri State Capitol to Jefferson City to the Illinois Capitol in Springfield.
And our first stop, a big race for the Show Me State. Republican incumbent Josh Hawley challenged by Democrat Kunce. As you can see on your screen, Hawley taking the win tonight. 53% of the vote right now, 52% of the vote, I should say, to 45%. Well, let's get to First Alert 4's Alexis Zotos live in Ozark, where Senator Josh Hawley hosting his watch party tonight. And Alexis, just moments ago, Josh Hawley was there on stage.
That's right, Corey. He's actually speaking with reporters right here, right now. Senator, can I just ask you, we're live right now.
Yes, absolutely.
What's the emotion you're feeling right now?
Oh, just gratitude, an overwhelming sense of gratitude for Missouri voters placing their confidence in me. And my pledge to them is no matter who you voted for tonight, I'm going to work for you, just like I have the last 6 years. And I just say to all of those folks, if you voted for my opponent, hey, guess what? You're still the boss. I still work for you.
What's your top priority in the Senate?
Number one, I would say we've got to close the border. Whatever it takes to close the border, we've got to reopen American energy production. We've got to get the nuclear radiation bill passed with compensation for radiation victims in St. Louis, St. Charles, and around the state. And I will not rest. I don't care how long it takes me. We will get that passed.
How are you feeling watching the results across the country tonight?
Well, it's a close race. You know, I mean, I was just saying, I hope that it will be over tonight. I think it'd be good for the country if we knew the winner tonight. But however long it takes, we want every vote to be counted. Everybody who's cast a vote, legally, of course, should be counted. And, you know, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Thank you, Senator,
Absolutely.
very much.
Thank you.
It was a tight race here tonight in Ozark. People watching the polls very closely at this watch party. But, of course, Senator Josh Hawley winning re-election for the state of Missouri, heading back to Washington to serve another 6 years in the U.S. Senate here. Corey, we will send it back to you guys.
All right, Alexis, thank you. There's two sides to each of these races, right? The Hawley challenger, Kunce in Kansas City tonight. That's where we find our Nathan Vickers covering that campaign. Nathan.
Well, that's right. Right now, Kunce is out here addressing the crowd. He actually just got up at the podium and talked to them. He thanked his campaign, talked about the process that he's been through here throughout his campaign in the fall. He talked about how a lot of his donations were small donations. He didn't have a lot of support from big corporate donors or PACs. That's something that he has boasted throughout his campaign. But he says that this is a way of showing Missourians, you know, that their power might not lie just with the Republican Party, right? Kunce ran as kind of a moderate. He refused to endorse a presidential candidate. And so tonight, you know, this is a sad night for his campaign, but he's out thanking the crowd and just wanting to be a part of the night with them as they wrap up their campaign for the U.S. Senate race. Reporting live, Nathan Vickers.
I've been hoping that there's been enough support for Amendment 3 that it would pull Democrats in. I'd love to see some part of Missouri blue. I'd love to see the whole state blue. It used to be, but, you know, I'm really not optimistic.
Yeah, that was a Kunce supporter we heard from just a little bit ago. Again, said wasn't optimistic seeing the lack of Democratic support across the state. Reporting live, Nathan Vickers, First Alert 4.
Questions on the Missouri ballot, Amendment 3, asking about abortion access. If passed, it would end the almost total ban in the Show Me state. As you can see, the results, a 10-point margin, 55% of voters saying yes, 45% voting saying no, and 41% of those precincts in so far. Our Russell Kunce is at a watch party for this Amendment 3. Russell, what can you tell us about the mood there?
Well, folks here believe that they're on their way to victory. They just don't want to celebrate prematurely. They're waiting for some other votes to come in from around the state. I think the Springfield area still has more votes that need to be counted, need to be reported. But they believe that they're on the way to victory. They're just getting ready for that official word so they can celebrate. They just saw those recent numbers that you just reported, and so now they're celebrating that. Even though it looks as if Amendment 3 is on its way to a victory, they do say the battle for restoring reproductive rights is a long way from over, because they do expect legal battles and they do expect challenges in the legislature. I spoke with Margot Riffagan with the ACLU about that.
But what we do know is, because this is going to win with such a majority because of the grassroots effort, that we are anticipating a tough legislative session. So we are ready to fight and to make sure that whatever they're going to throw at us, because we know it's going to happen, that all of the volunteers who mobilized continue to show up, and they're going to come to Jeff City throughout the session.
So supporters of Amendment 3 believe they're on their way to victory. They're just waiting for that official declaration, and then you'll really hear some loud cheers here in downtown St. Louis. Now back to you.
All right, Russell, we'll check back in with you here soon. Missouri voters also were asked about making sports betting legal in the state. A look at those results are on your screen now, too. 52% voting yes, 48% voting no. This still within a 4-point margin there, 27% of the vote being reported. Our John Kipper has been following this race and this amendment for much of the last 3 months of this election. He's also at Enterprise Center tonight getting reaction from local sports fans about the proposition of this ballot measure being approved. John?
Yeah, Sam. Well, Blues fans are leaving the arena in a particularly good mood because the Blues got a victory. Many of them will likely go home, turn on election results, and see that sports betting amendment is passing, and possibly be in an even better mood, as the yes votes have officially pulled ahead of the no votes in the last hour or so. And if it does pass, that means any adult in Missouri could simply pull out their cell phone and bet on sports, with 10% of that tax money going to Missouri schools. Now, the pro campaign even argued $105 million over 5 years would go to Missouri schools. The no campaign said it's not going to be anywhere close to that number, potentially could be $0. Talking to Blues fans today here, they were very excited about it and wanted it to pass.
A little bit. I mean, I just like to come enjoy the atmosphere and watch the game, but I know that some people like to do it. It's coming anyway, right? It's a sign of the time, so we might as well get on board now.
You know, reality will not bear out much money at all, if any money, for education.
Now, the Blues organization supported this amendment, but they declined to speak on camera tonight, as this race is not called yet and still a lot of vote to count. Reporting live from Enterprise Center, John Kipper, First Alert 4.
All right, John, we'll check back in with that and see how they feel eventually. Now to the race for the U.S.'s first congressional district in Missouri. This covers St. Louis. Democratic Congresswoman Cori Bush represents that district, but she lost in the primary.
And tonight, Democrat and St. Louis County Prosecutor Wesley Bell beating Republican Andrew Jones to take this seat. This particular seat has been Democrat for the last 80 years. Our Melanie Johnson is live in Brentwood tonight.
And Melanie, you've been with the Bell campaign all night. Can you tell us what the atmosphere has been like there?
Yeah, Sam and Cora, we actually have Wesley Bell right behind me. As you see, he's speaking to supporters who are still here supporting him. He's actually going to speak to us right now about how it feels to declare victory in this race. Again, he's shaking some more hands. Wesley Bell right here, the congressman for that first district. Wesley, how does it feel?
You know, it's still sinking in. You know, first and foremost, it's an absolute honor to serve as the next congressman of Missouri's first district. It's an honor. I'm fired up about it. Our staff, our team, our supporters, family and friends, you know, I can't tell you how much I appreciate everyone who's been a part of this. And so it's starting to sink in, and birthdays and all kind of stuff. So, man, great birthday gift. But I'm looking forward to really working for this district, and I'm ready to get to work, most importantly.
In your victory speech, you said ready to work. You talked about these issues that you want to address. What are some of these key things people should know about when it comes to you going to D.C.?
Regional growth. This region, and I've said it before, is a sleeping giant, and it's time to wake it up. And the only way that we're going to move this region forward is if we do it together. And that means not just our city and county, but our municipal partners. Everyone needs to have a seat at the table. This is a unique place. And the only way we're going to be able to do it is if everyone is engaged, everyone's working toward what's in the best interest of this region. Public safety, as a prosecutor, obviously that's a big deal to me. And to everyone that I know and my constituents know, public safety is a big deal. But we want to grow this economy. We want to attract jobs back here. We want to support our community stakeholders in the healthcare fields and the educational fields. And there's so much potential for this region, and I'm so excited to be standing and be a part of a lot of people who are working toward moving this region forward.
One more question I have to ask you. We talked about this before this interview. Who do you think should take your place as St. Louis County Prosecutor?
Well, it's not my call to make. The county executive makes that decision. That said, I've always had a good working relationship, and I've had consistent conversation with respect to that process with the county executive. I think he's going to put a thoughtful plan together. Now, I'll be honest, I think that it should be someone from my leadership team. Our office has been running very smoothly. We have men and women at our office that have been doing a tremendous job working up every day with the goal of public safety and keeping the residents safe in this region. But that said, it is the county executive's decision, and whomever is that choice will have my full support. And we're going to do everything we can to make certain that that individual has all the tools in place to hit the ground running and continue the mission of keeping this region safe.
Thank you so much. Congratulations. Wesley Bell here, 78% of the vote. That is your Congressman of District 1. We're live in Brentwood tonight. Melanie Johnson, First Alert 4.
Okay, Melanie, thank you. Now we need to move to the race for Missouri's next top boss, the governor here. Our Republican Mike Kehoe winning the race for governor, beating Democrat Crystal Quade in this. Our Caroline Hecker is live in Jefferson City. She's been with the Kehoe campaign. Caroline, we heard from the lieutenant governor just a little bit ago. What's the mood like there now?
The party continues here in Jefferson City. It doesn't look, obviously, like there's a lot of people behind me. That's because everybody is congregated over by the bar, still enjoying themselves. Lieutenant Governor Kehoe making his way around the room, taking some photos. He took the stage, like you said, about 9 o'clock this evening, thanking his family, thanking his supporters, and thanking all of those Missourians that did, in fact, vote for him. Now, Governor Mike Parson, who you'll remember appointed Lieutenant Governor Kehoe back in 2018, was also here in attendance with about 200 or 300 other people. The Lieutenant Governor in that speech saying from day one he will start to make Missouri safer.
Roll up our sleeves to get to work on day one. As soon as my hand comes off the Bible, the Kehoe administration will be relentless in our effort to make Missouri safer. We will ensure that Missouri is a state where it's easier to be a cop than a criminal. And we will not rest until the criminals who make our streets and neighborhoods dangerous are held accountable. And to the brave police officers, we will always have your backs.
Now, during that acceptance speech, he also indicated that during his time as governor, he will do whatever it takes to protect innocent life. Now, what that means in light of what comes out of Amendment 3 remains to be seen. We're live in Jefferson City tonight. Caroline Hecker, First Alert 4.
Caroline, thank you. In the last 30 minutes, Crystal Quade took the stage in front of supporters and gave a concession speech. Let's take a listen.
We have so much to fight for here in Missouri. And today, folks showed up. We didn't get it done, but the numbers are good. They're not all in yet, but we know that we did better than what we did before. We know Amendment 3 is gonna pass.
And turning now to the race for president, which in some swing states At this point tonight, it's still too close to call at this hour. In Missouri, though, 55% of voters voted for former President Donald Trump, while 44% voted for Vice President Kamala Harris. Donald Trump, the projected winner in Missouri. Meanwhile, in Illinois, VP Harris won 57% of the vote. Trump came in at 41%. This is the opposite. Kamala Harris named the projected winner there in Illinois.
Well, back here locally, besides the gubernatorial race, there are several others in the Show Me State.
Yeah, and our Cameron Bopp has been tracking those and where they stand right now. Cam.
Hey there, guys. Yeah, let's start with the race for Attorney General. Republican incumbent Andrew Bailey challenged by Democrat Elad Gross. We can see some of the results right here. Again, 42% of the precincts reporting in. Andrew Bailey taking 57% of the vote so far. Elad Gross, 41%. We have yet to see a projected winner in this race. Moving to Lieutenant Governor, Republican David Wassinger taking on Democrat Richard Brown. Wassinger taking 55% of the vote so far. His Democratic challenger, 41%. As for Secretary of State, Democratic State Representative Barbara Pfeiffer taking on Republican State Senator Denny Hoskins from Warrensburg. Hoskins with 55% of the vote so far. And Vivek Malik hoping to keep his spot as treasurer. You'll remember Governor Parson appointing him to the position after the former treasurer was elected to state auditor. Now the results, another 55% on the board here for Vivek Malik, the Republican taking the lead so far in this race, with his challenger Mark Osmak taking 41% of the vote so far. We'll keep you updated as all of these races have yet to see a projected winner tonight, guys.
All right, Cam, thanks for the update. Moving to U.S. Congressional District 2 in Missouri, covering parts of St. Charles, St. Louis, Warren, and Franklin counties. Let's take a look at those results. Republican incumbent Ann Wagner challenged by Democrat Ray Hartman. We'll work on getting those results for you in a bit. What you're looking at here, this is U.S. Congressional District 3. This represents counties like Washington and Gasconade. All right, now we'll go back to District 2. Ann Wagner, 55% of the vote. Ray Hartman, 42%, but no projected winner just yet in that one. Do we have the results there for U.S.? Is the projected winner there, getting 63%, pretty demanding win over Bethany Mann in House District 3. We are tracking all of the U.S. districts in Missouri and Illinois tonight.
And there are 5 seats up for grabs. Our Morgan Harris joining us now with a look at those results tonight. Morgan.
Yes, so Samantha, Corey, the numbers are still pouring in for these House races, but we do have some projected winners. Let's take a look. We're going to start with District 6. Sam Graves seeking a 13th term in office. Republican incumbent is projected to win with 70% of the vote. His challenger was first-time political candidate Democrat Pam May. She's walking away with 27% of the vote as of now. Moving to the 8th district, Jason Smith, who took office back in 2013, is in the lead with 78% of the vote against Democrat Randy McCallum. In Illinois' District 12 race, Republican incumbent Mike Boss projected to win against opponent Democrat Brian Roberts. Boss with 76% of the vote. After winning re-election, Boss released a statement saying, quote, Southern Illinoisans will continue to form a unified front in the fight for our families and ensure that our constitutional rights are protected. Well, moving on to first-term Congresswoman Nikki Baczynski. She's seeking re-election. Her challenger is 27-year-old Republican Joshua Lloyd. Now, this was expected to be a competitive race in the narrowly Democrat-leaning 13th district. Right now, Lloyd is ahead with 61% of the vote. And finally, in District 15, Mary Miller is seeking a 3rd term. She ran unopposed, and she is the projected winner of that race. We'll keep a close eye on these House races as the numbers continue to come in. You can stay up to date with the numbers, of course, in your First Alert 4 app. Morgan Harris, First Alert 4.
Yeah, that House District 13 in Illinois, something certainly still to watch there. All right, Morgan, thank you. Well, on your ballot, you were also asked to change the Constitution in Missouri.
Yeah, you were asked about raising the minimum wage and ranked choice voting. Our Cameron Bopp is joining us again tonight, tracking those results on those races for us, Cameron.
Hey there, yeah, a lot to get to. These are initiatives not nearly as highly contested as Amendments 2 or 3, but still impacting Missourians. First, let's take a look at the question to raise the minimum wage, also requiring all employers to provide 1 hour of paid sick leave for every 30 hours worked. Right now, 59% of Missourians, registered voters, voting yes to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour by 2026. Moving on to Amendment 5, adding a casino In the Lake of the Ozarks, it would be a gambling boat along the Osage River. 52% voting no so far. This is 56% of the vote in Missouri right now, 48% voting yes. As for the question on whether to end ranked choice voting and also amend the Constitution to ban non-citizens from voting, two topics on this amendment, which we should note is already illegal. Non-citizens are not allowed to vote. 67% have voted yes so far on Amendment 7. You were also asked about law enforcement benefits. Lawmakers say it would boost benefits for current and former law enforcement officials, also boosting access to the courts for Missourians. Amendment 6, 61% voting no so far. This is 59% of the estimated vote in, 39% of Missourians, registered voters, saying yes. We'll keep an eye on all these initiatives as well throughout the night, guys.
All right, Cam, thanks for the update. As we get the results in, we're also digging into how voters are feeling about some of the top issues.
Yeah, First Alert 4's David Emilati is live for us, breaking down some new polling from local voters. You've been keeping a tab on how they feel.
That's right, and we're able to do this because First Alert 4 teamed up with the Associated Press for what's called AP Votecast. This is exclusive data that only we're able to bring you, where we're asking voters when they showed up to the polls today and they did their early voting, how and why they voted. So we asked them several different questions. The first one, and this is something we've checked in throughout the night, which one of the following would you say is the most important issue facing the country? It's been steady throughout the entire night, leading the way at 40% economy and jobs, 9% say health care, 20% say immigration, 12% on abortion, and then 4% crime. Let's go a little deeper on the economy. The next question we have is, which presidential candidate do voters say is better able to handle the economy? 33% of voters say Harris, and you see there 57%, the majority voters say Trump. So let's talk a little bit about your budget. This is something that impacts the working class, the middle class. How concerned are voters about health care costs? 86% say very concerned, 14% say not so concerned. Well, how concerned are the voters about the cost of food and groceries? We know eggs are going up, so many different things when you go to the store. 92% say very, 7% say not concerned. We also wanted to ask about housing costs. How concerned are you about those? 78% say they are concerned, 22% say they are not. Now, coming up later in the show, I'm going to dig a little bit deeper into the presidential race here in the bi-state, and I'll show you how that's breaking out the next time I see you.
All right, David, thank you for those updates. We've got multiple deaths to talk about, too, today after flooding across the St. Louis region that just really wreaked havoc on many of you on this election day. Coming up, as the heavy rain has now subsided, we'll show you the hardest hit spots.
Huge rainfall totals, but it's all moved out. While we have dry time, though, the Merrimack River rising to major flood stage. So I'll detail the river flooding and time out the next round of rain.
And the Blues hosting the Lightning tonight, a scary moment in the first period. We're going to have the latest on Dylan Holloway coming up in sports.
And it is election night. Still to come, First Alert 4, we'll hear from our panel of political experts as the results continue to roll in. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Breaking results tonight. Republican incumbent Ann Wagner challenged by Democrat Ray Hartman in Missouri U.S. House District 2. You can see Ann Wagner, the projected winner there. She has held that office since 2013.
And the first term, Congresswoman Nikki Budzinski seeking re-election. Her challenger is 27-year-old Republican Joshua Lloyd. This is a surprising race here, as this was expected to be competitive in the narrowly Democratic-leaning 13th district. Right now, this has now flipped. Nikki Budzinski is now leading with 53% of the vote. Joshua Lloyd trailing now with 47% of the votes. He was just ahead with more than 60% the last time that we got an update. There's now 79% of registered voters whose votes have been counted at this point now. Interesting. We'll keep watching that one. Well, tonight at least we know 5 people in Missouri are dead after flooding wreaked havoc across the region. A woman in South St. Louis County is dead after her SUV was overcome with rising water this morning. This happened near 55 in Bayless. Another person died in Limay after drowning in floodwaters as well.
Yeah, a number of businesses were also damaged, and so many people's basements are now underwater.
All of this because of the heavy rain that we got overnight into this morning. Now at 10, our Elena Chappie has more on the recovery efforts.
Here in Bella Villa, this is just one of the many areas impacted by the severe weather from earlier this morning. And in this neighborhood, they currently remain without power this evening. And just beyond these homes, the Gravois Creek, where a man was found dead.
Heard sirens, and it's pretty much been an ongoing thing all day long with the sirens between
the flooding on Revis and then over on Bayless.
Chris Eckstein lives near the Gravois Creek, a place where St. Louis County police are investigating after receiving a call for a probable drowning. A man who hasn't yet been identified died at the scene.
It just, like you say, all in all, it's just sad to hear multiple people, it sounds like, have lost their lives today because of the flooding.
After the waters receded Tuesday, first responders found a woman dead in an SUV near Bayless and I-55. Police say a nearby business owner saw the SUV submerged in the water.
We'll see over the next couple of days will be more water and more challenges.
St. Louis County emergency officials held a press conference in response to the severe weather, saying some vehicles in the water didn't have anyone inside.
And that's frequently a scenario where someone got out or was washed out, and we don't know if they made it to safety or if they drifted away.
Beyond the damage left behind on the roads, Eckstein hopes his power will be back on soon.
They got the line cleared, and now it's just a matter of them restringing it or disconnecting that section so we can hopefully get some power back on.
And while the rain has stopped, emergency officials say that there are still some areas that may be prone to flooding, like near the Merrimack River. They say if you come to standing water, just turn around and don't drown. In Bella Villa, Elena Chappie, First Alert 4.
We are also getting some breaking election news we should bring to you quickly here. Donald Trump has been the projected winner in North Carolina, another one of those states that we've been closely watching that's now added onto his electoral votes.
Yeah, let's go back to our weather coverage, because obviously we're talking about deaths and damage, just a horrible situation across the
Brutal.
state.
Yeah, and I'm just glad it's gone for now. We do have some dry time, but Elena talked about how, around the Merrimack, be careful. That's not because of new rain. That's the Merrimack rising. It's going to rise rapidly. I'll detail specifically what to expect when it's cresting coming up. Let me start with what's happening now as the rain has pushed out, as we are now dry. So what comes next? We always like to give you that first alert on what's next. We're drying out tonight through Friday. So we've got a few days of dry time. But again, while it's dry, some rivers, like the Merrimack especially, is going to be rising. And that's the one that's going to go to what they call major flood stage. So I'll detail the impact story coming up. Next rain chances to come on Saturday. Could see 1/4 of an inch to an inch. So maybe some solid rainfall, but not like what we just went through, and shouldn't cause any renewed flooding. But by Saturday, some more rain in the forecast. Look how much rain we've had. Sunday, under 1/2 inch. But Monday was the wettest day in November on record in St. Louis. And then we broke that record with today's rainfall, 3.89 inches. So you're looking at Monday, Tuesday, today, the 2 wettest days in November on record. 3-day total over 8 inches. Very wet, obviously, and we're just not glad to have some dry time. It's nice to be dry. And looking at the dry weather on the BJC Skycam network from downtown, we're at 61 right now. We had a high of 70. We're going to be chilly tonight. Not frigid, but chilly as it clears out. But then some fog may develop. That's what this gray stuff you see is developing here. So this is by 7 a.m. Might have some patchy fog overnight and morning. So check in with First Alert 4. Meteorologist Matt Chambers will let you know exactly where that fog is thick enough that it might cause any issues. But no rain and partly cloudy skies. Maybe a few clouds develop. It's not overcast, but we will have some sun and some clouds at times tomorrow. So here's the planner. We're at 49 in the morning watching for a little fog. 59 at noon. Our high 63, and that may sound cool, but the normal 60, so it's pretty much near normal, but it is cool, into the mid-50s by 6 p.m. Again, dry weather's nice, but the Merrimack's rising, and all those purple dots are river gauges on the Merrimack that are going to be into the major flood stage. If you look at Steelville and Sullivan, Steelville's the second highest crest. That's what number 2 crest means, second highest on record. And then Sullivan's going to be the 6th highest, cresting Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific, portions of East Osage Street will flood. That'll be cresting Friday afternoon. Zooming in a little bit, Eureka, cresting Friday afternoon, 9th highest crest on record. Shelters and roads at the Route 66 State Park are going to flood. This is the big one, though. Look at this. Highway 141 near I-44. That should start to get water and start to flood on Thursday morning. The crest won't come until Friday afternoon. And then in Fenton, the number 3 crest on record, Gravois Road, should flood just southwest of the new bridge. So we'll be watching that closely. We'll keep those updated. Those always can change a little bit. That is a forecast. The 4-degree guarantee high tomorrow, 63 degrees. It's going to be cool again on Thursday, but dry. Cool again on Friday, but dry. Saturday, late morning into the afternoon and evening. Showers, some thunder. Slight chance it lingers into Sunday morning with highs in the mid to upper 60s for this upcoming weekend.
Live, this is Sports on 4. powered by Nissan.
Welcome back to the Blue Nut. After a couple nights off, Blues back on the ice hosting the Lightning tonight. Benner back in net. But 1:11 left in the first ace scary moment. Dylan Hawley takes a puck to the neck throat area. Now, he played the rest of his shift, went to the bench, and that's when it went bad. Trainers got to him. He was taken off the bench, as you see there in a stretcher. Last update, he was at the hospital, alert and in stable condition. 7:57 mark. Kessel shoots, misses, but Sonny is there for the rebound and score. First of the season for him. We're tied at 1. 18-24 puck leaks out to Torpchenko. Top shelf, he scores. That made it 2-1 Blues. 8:51 mark turns into a 2-on-none. Shin Nakaru for the score. Made it 3-1 Blues. Blues hold on to win this one 3-2. Let's talk college football tonight. The very first college football playoff rankings were released, and while Mizzou is not in the AP top 25, they are in the college football top 25. Tigers come in at 24th. None of the Tigers' remaining opponents are ranked in the top 25. Here's a look at your very first 12-team playoff bracket. This essentially has Georgia winning the SEC, but Bama, Tennessee, and Texas in the mix as well. And I was listening to the press conference. They were obviously nervous about things with Hawley, but he seems alert. He's stable condition. He's going to remain in the hospital for evaluation. Things should be okay, but we'll see how it goes throughout the night.
Still a really scary moment.
Very scary. I've never seen anything like that.
No, not at all.
Well, our election coverage continues here next on First Alert 4, and some breaking results right now. The questions on the Missouri ballot, Amendment 3 specifically, asking about abortion access. As you can see, projected to win tonight, 54% yes votes, 46% no votes. The total ban, this would end the almost total ban in the Show Me State. Our election coverage continues next. Welcome back. We have an update now for you on Amendment 7, which ends ranked choice voting and amends the Constitution to ban non-citizens from voting. That has passed. We should know that it is already illegal for non-citizens to vote in the state of Missouri. Well, First Alert 4 at 10 continues tonight, tracking your election night results.
Yeah, we've had you with team coverage all night long, tracking local and national races alike. Our David Amilati is tracking the presidential races for us. David.
Yeah, good to see you both. We're taking a look at that map. In Illinois, 19 electoral votes goes to Harris. And we're not really going to click on there because we just know that the counties in the Metro East went exactly the way we thought, majority going for Donald Trump. But let's go ahead and check in with Missouri. 56% of the vote here for Donald Trump. Again, AP awarding Missouri, projecting Missouri to go to Donald Trump. 56% is exactly where he was in 2020. This is about 0.5% less than where he was in 2016. Harris doing slightly better. But again, if we look statewide, we're at 79, just shy of 80% of all the votes in. So let's go ahead and click on the city of St. Louis real quick. 81% for Harris. This is right where the Democrats were in 2020. This is exactly where Trump was when he lost in 2020. Go to the county, again, Kamala Harris right in line with what Biden did in 2020 and just a little bit better than what they did in 2016. Trump doing worse than what he was doing in 2020. That's a look at how Missouri broke down. Again, those 10 electoral votes going to Donald Trump, projected by AP. We'll send it back to you in studio.
All right, David, thank you. Now let's take a look at the key races for Missouri tonight.
Yeah, first we'll start with the big race for the Show Me State. Republican incumbent Josh Hawley challenged by Democrat Lucas Kunce. We called this one earlier tonight. The AP projecting that Josh Hawley is the winner in this race. He will serve another 6 years, winning 53% of the vote against challenger Lucas Kunce tonight. Moving now to who will run the state of Missouri. Republican Mike Kehoe winning against his Democratic opponent Crystal Quade in this. Lieutenant Governor winning for governor with 57% of the vote, 41% going to Crystal Quade.
And the breaking news we brought you just moments ago, the question on the Missouri ballot, Amendment 3, asking about abortion access. This passed by 54% to 46%. This would end the almost total ban, abortion ban, in the Show Me State. But it is a big result tonight as a lot of people were watching this specific amendment. Missouri voters also asked about making sports betting legal. Let's check in on Amendment 2. This one's been narrowed throughout the night, but it looks like yes, kind of overtaking the no votes there. 54% yes to 46% voting no. Well, here in our studios, we have a panel of political experts from both sides of the aisle.
Yeah, First Alert 4 investigator Lauren Traeger has been hosting that panel throughout our coverage, discussing the issues and what our panel is expecting to happen tonight. Lauren.
Yeah, some great conversation tonight. I want to introduce the panel to you once again. If you're just joining us here at the 10 o'clock hour, we have the last Democratic Democratic governor of the state of Missouri, Jay Nixon, former governor, former executive director of the Missouri Republican Party, former state rep Gene Evans, Congressman Lacey Clay of the 1st Congressional District here in Missouri of late, and of course Mark Cox, who is a conservative talk show host for 97.1. We are grateful to all of you for being here with us. I want to jump right into Amendment 3. Is this a surprising move for you guys? Mark, let's start with you here to see this pass tonight.
First of all, it saddens me to see it pass. I expected that it would pass because of the tens of millions of dollars that rolled in from out of state. I think it was an overreach. It was something written by people that didn't have Missouri's best interest in mind. And now, because it's been called, I think, we're now stuck with what do we do next? I don't know. Does the legislature go back and try to put this back on the ballot in something that's a little more reasonable? I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I'm sad that it passed.
Should they, Congressman, if the people already voted for it?
I consider it a win for reproductive freedom in the state. I think it kind of corrects the record of the draconian laws that were passed by the state legislature. And so this is a victory for women throughout the state.
I think it's a victory for all of us. Government just shouldn't be inside your body. And I respect the moral part of this deeply and respect people that hold that position deeply. But I just believe that a limitation of government should be that whether you're male or female, young or old, there shouldn't be constitutional laws that say what the government can do inside your body. That's private.
So there are parts of this that will allow young people to get abortions without parental consent, which I think is very concerning. I think a young person should be able to talk to their parents and have that, even if they're afraid to, they may find that their parents are much more understanding and welcoming. That was one of my concerns with the bill. There are others. And I will say when the legislature passed the bill that they did with no exceptions, at the time I was afraid that there would be a backlash at some point, and that's really kind of what this is. This is a response to the bill we have in Missouri, which says there are no exceptions for rape or incest, which many people do believe that, but it's a small percentage, and none of our federal delegation believes that or supports that. So that restrictive of a bill elicited this type of a response, and I think it's a lesson for lawmakers that, as long as we have this IP, initiative petition, that if you make laws that are overly ambitious or overly restrictive or however you want to say it, there will be a response. So I think there is a lesson here for that, but I too am sad that it passed.
Is this truly the end of the road for it, though? I mean, Mark, you already mentioned there may be efforts now to find a different path forward to overturn this.
I don't think they would overturn it. They would put something in the Constitution that would maybe add some different, the battle over abortion has not ended, nor will it end. It is back with the states now, and you will continue to see states like Missouri and others kind of figure out, where they want to land on this. So I don't think they're done, but what exactly that solution looks like, I think we won't know for at least another probably 6 months.
Any other big surprises tonight? I mean, we did not see really any upsets when it comes to the candidates, at least so far. Is that what you expected?
Well, I will say in the legislature, we were sort of hoping against what we'd seen in polling that there would be some Trump coattails, and we did see that. So Republicans held their own in the state legislature, even though Democrats were expected to pick up 5 seats and end supermajority. That does not appear to have happened. Not all these races have been called, but my understanding after speaking with the Speaker is that the Republican caucus will stay and they aren't going to lose any members. That's surprising.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt. Amendment 7, if I'm correct, has passed, which I think is great for voting rights in this state. If it bans ranked choice voting, because what ranked choice voting does is that dilute voting strength, especially of minority communities.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. Here's something we agree on.
Yeah, we all agree.
I'm glad that one passed of all of them, because it also guarantees that the city of St. Louis or the city of Kansas City can't suddenly decide that non-citizens can vote in municipal elections. So it will prevent that moving forward, which is one less thing we have to worry about.
How about
that was already the law, but
yes, worth noting. Yes,
federally that was the law. It wasn't state law.
It was against state laws. Let's not get along about it. It's not. We're here on TV. We shouldn't do that.
Governor, did you expect to see the margins that we saw with the governor's race, with Crystal Quade losing, and with Lucas Kunce in the Senate race?
As we go later in the night, those numbers get wider and wider. The last race showed the governor's race at over 12 to 13 points. I think the real interesting, as I said at the beginning, the real interesting thing to look at is to be the differential between the Senate race and the governor's race and try to analyze in there what those differences are. Both of them lost, but I think they're important. I think that the gambling stuff, having the trouble it did, is interesting to me. I thought that with all the money and all the effort around that, Ozzie Smith, that we'd be seeing a number higher than this, and we wouldn't be waiting until 10:30 at night to get a yes on that. But that was a little surprising to me. And then the underperformance by the Democrats in the legislature. They were cock of the walk on some of that stuff.
Yeah.
They said they were going to pick up seats both House and Senate, and there was only one person between them getting that done. That person sitting to my left here, and she had a good day.
We had a good day. I do want to. I would love to give a shout out to St. Louis County elections. They did a fantastic job, both with the early voting and then handling this morning with the flooding. Record turnout, and I just, I live in St. Louis County. Ever since the leadership that there has been there, it has just run so smoothly, and and all the folks that worked all day at the polls. Thank you to all of them.
And we checked in with the Secretary of State's office as well. They did not see anything systemic in terms of major concerns. Obviously, a few minor things here and there statewide, but it looks like things did run relatively smoothly. We are grateful for you guys. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. We will, of course, send it back to you now.
All right, Lauren, thank you, and thank you to our panel. This election night is filled with important races across the bi-state.
Yeah, next we're going to take a look at ballot measures in Illinois and how you felt about this election before casting a vote. Stay with us.
Amendment 3 supporters giving a victory speech tonight. Let's listen in.
Together, we persisted each and every obstacle that they threw our way. And in doing so, we strengthened the foundation for future challenges to our rights. So, just to tell you a little bit about the story, which I know you all have already heard and know and are intimately familiar with. When we filed this amendment back in March of 2023, we were immediately met by undemocratic attacks. First, politicians tried to block this campaign from even getting off the ground and starting, and they failed. And then they tried to trick voters with horrible ballot language, egregious ballot summary language that did not accurately represent what the ballot summary did. And they tried to increase the fiscal note and say that it was in the billions of dollars. That's right, billions with a B. They lied and they failed. I'm not done, because after that, they tried to delay the process of collecting signatures, leaving a truncated amount of time to collect the over 172,000 signatures required to get this to a vote of the people. No problem, that's right, because you all went out there to collect those signatures, way more than was required, and you made sure they failed.
All right, listening to supporters of Amendment 3 there, giving their victory speech after the amendment passed in Missouri tonight. Well, in the Metro East, voters letting lawmakers know what they think about potential legislation.
And for the latest on those initiatives, let's send it over to Cameron Bob.
Yeah, so what these are advisory questions, meaning lawmakers are simply gauging public interest. So the outcome of tonight's vote will not impact Illinoisans. Just a heads up there. The first one we're looking at asks if voters, if the state should establish civil penalties if a candidate interferes or attempts to interfere with an election worker's official duties. That one, as you can see, has passed. 89% of Illinoisans, registered voters there, voting yes. Another one asking voters if the state should make tax bracket changes, adding an additional 3% tax to those making $1 million or more. No projected winner in this vote here, but you can see 60% of voters there saying yes, they should add that 3% income tax for millionaires. Question 3 now, if ultimately put on a future ballot as proposed legislation, This would mean the state would push every health insurance plan in the state that has pregnancy benefits to cover medically assisted reproductive treatments, including in vitro fertilization, unlimited treatments. 73% so far voting yes on this question 3. And a reminder, these are advisory questions and they have no immediate impact on folks living in Illinois, but it can give lawmakers an idea of whether to scrap these ideas or maybe even rework them. All the results, though, you can find on the First Alert 4 news app as well as our website, guys.
All right, Cameron, thank you. As we continue to get some of the results in, we're also digging into how voters are feeling about the top issues.
Yeah, First Alert 4's David Emilani is live for us, breaking down exclusive polling from you, the voters.
That's right. I'm able to do that because First Alert 4 teamed up with the Associated Press to talk with voters as they headed the polls today and did their early voting, asking how and why they cast their vote. So we want to take a quick look in Illinois because one of the questions we asked voters there, do you think corruption is a problem in your state's government? We asked this because Mike Madigan, the former Speaker of the House, right now in a corruption suit right now, in a trial happening right now in court. Problem there, 95% say it is a problem, 4% say it's not. Back over on the Missouri side of things, we asked voters if they're in favor of financing new Chiefs Stadium with state funds. And voices made here, 38% say they favor it, but 62% oppose it. We also asked a similar question about if state funds should be used for a Royal Stadium. Something similar, 34% saying they approve it, 65% making their voice heard saying they oppose it. Let's switch gears now to the president's race real quick. Would voters say Harris or Trump better able to handle immigration? 47% say Trump, 41% say Harris. Now, as far as when we could find out the results of the presidential race, it could be late tonight. It could be as late as Thursday or maybe even beyond. We're still not sure about how that will play out. In the meantime, though, let's turn things over to our Lauren Traeger, who is standing by with our panel to check back in with what they're observing.
Yeah, and we have just a few minutes left with the panel, so I do want to kind of give you guys kind of a moment just to wrap up your thoughts for the night. Mark, let's start with you here. What are your takeaways?
Well, I mean, not a surprise on some of these amendments, although the gambling amendments have struggled. I don't think those have been called yet, unless I missed something. It looks like the last numbers I looked at on here, both of those gambling amendments were losing, the Lake of the Ozarks and the sports gambling, which surprised me with Amendment 3 doing so well. I also think there were 2 local Republican Senate races that it appears the Republicans are going to pull out. And I know, Gene, that was a big concern because had they lost those, they risk losing their supermajority in the Missouri legislature. Yeah. But it looks like Adam Schnelting and David Gregory are going to hold on to their seats.
Well, first of all, let me thank KMOV4 for letting me be a part of this panel. I've really enjoyed the company here. And looking at the national trend, it was just like the pollsters and pundits said. It's going to be close. I don't have a prediction at this point. My fingers are crossed for Vice President Harris, but we won't know tonight.
Jane, final thoughts?
Well, there's been an international and a national trend towards the right, and we're seeing that across the country. The Republicans have won back the Senate. It looks like they're going to win the presidency. The New York Times is saying it's very likely. I'm going to continue with my prediction that Donald Trump wins tonight. And, you know, we'll go from there. And then you got to govern, right? Once you win, you got to govern. And I think it's incumbent upon us to hold folks' feet to the fire and make sure that they govern appropriately.
And Governor.
I think there was 2 things, my takeaways tonight. First of all, as Lacey and others said, thanks to Channel 4 and all the efforts you go through to do this. This is extremely important for journalism to provide this information out to all the citizens with the confidence that you all are doing here, and it's really respected. The second thing is, the 4 of us have disagreed about a whole lot of stuff tonight. A whole lot of stuff. And nobody punched anybody, and nobody's left anybody, and we're all going to be friends when we're done.
That's right.
That's another good example for everybody in Missouri and everybody in America. You can disagree and still do what needs to get done.
Amen.
Good note to end on. Thank you all for being with us tonight. We really do appreciate it. We're going to have one last look of all the big races coming up right after this.
Welcome back. All night long, First Alert 4 has been following and breaking down your election night coverage.
Okay, let's wrap the night with a final look at your key races. We'll start with a look at the presidential race here in Missouri. Early tonight, just after 7 o'clock, Donald Trump was named the projected winner for president here in Missouri. And on the Illinois side, it was the opposite. Vice President Kamala Harris called early tonight as the winner there in Illinois.
Let's turn now to the race for one of Missouri's U.S. Senate seats. Republican incumbent Josh Hawley challenged by Democrat Lucas Kunce. There was a lot of money spent in this, but at the end of the day, it's Senator Josh Hawley winning re-election in that one.
And now moving now to who will run the state of Missouri. This will be Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe, who will become governor. The Republican in this race winning with 58% of the vote against Crystal Quaid.
And that does it for our coverage tonight, but all that coverage continues on First Alert 4 this morning starting at 4 a.m. tomorrow. We really appreciate you being with us throughout the night.